Hey guys, it's Corey Beasley with Fight Camp Conditioning. Today we're going to talk about some of the exercise variables that we can use to build workouts. So guys, when we're building workouts, I guess the first thing we need to think about is our goal, right? What's the goal for that athlete? What are we trying to accomplish? What adaptations are we trying to create with that athlete so they can perform better on the mat or in the cage? And by determining that goal, typically people are talking about, coach, I need to improve my endurance or my strength or my power. Maybe we've done some assessments to determine some of those deficits and trying to address certain things. But the goal is definitely number one, right? Once we have that goal, then we're going to kind of walk through some of these steps that are on the board here behind me. And then that kind of helps lay out the workout step by step and helps us kind of determine, what exercise, I guess we'll start with here, what exercises are we going to do, right? So if we've gone through some assessments, we understand like, okay, cool, here's the goal, here's the ability level of that athlete, then we can choose what exercises they can perform correctly, right? That's always most important. We want to be able to do things well before we add a whole lot of intensity, right? So exercise selection is number one. From there, we're going to determine what order we're going to, do certain exercises in throughout that workout. So typically we might do, some mobility work and maybe some warm-up type stuff and, that type of thing in the beginning. Then we move into something explosive, right? That might be some Olympic lifting variation, might be a med ball throw, some plyometrics, some jump progressions, whatever it might be. And then we might move into strength and conditioning towards the end. But depending on what type of workout you're going to do, the order matters a lot. We can't just throw everything into this mad circuit and beat the snot out of people. It doesn't turn out very well. Number three is what intensity are we looking to work at? Not every day needs to be 100%. Some days we might be working at like a 60%, trying to work on work capacity or general physical preparedness, that type of stuff. But it might be a little bit lower intensity, and that's good for certain goals. Other days, we might want to ramp it up and really start hitting those high gears. And that moves us on to the next one, which is vitally important, and a lot of people will screw it up, volume. And that's basically how much, right? It's just like skill training. If you're going to fight 3 rounds, you might not want to do 15 rounds of sparring, right? It might just break you down. It's too much, right? So when it comes to exercise, typically a good rule of thumb is understanding that if the intensity is really high, the volume's probably going to be much lower. If the intensity is a little bit lower, then we can do a little bit more volume. And that's just real general, but a good guideline to kind of, push you in the right direction. The next one is tempo, or how fast we're moving. Right, so we might be able to, there's basically three parts. There's the eccentric. So if we're doing like a chest press, right, we could lower that weight, and that's the eccentric portion. Then we can isometrically hold at any of those positions. But typically at the bottom we might hold or we might not hold. And then the concentric is the up part. So we might be doing stuff that's explosive, or we might be doing stuff really, really slow to develop a certain adaptation that we're looking for. But tempo is important to determine, because otherwise people are just going to fly through stuff and try to get it done, right? The next piece after we have those, so we have exercise. What exercise are we doing? We have the order of those exercises. We have the intensity that we're working at, how much we're doing, the speed that we're working at, and then we're going to determine rest. So how much are we going to rest between exercises? How much are we going to rest between complexes? Whatever it is that we're doing, but we have to spell it out for people a little bit to get the most out of those workouts. So if we're doing really, really, really high intensity work, odds are if you want to repeat that explosive or that high intensity effort, you're going to have to rest a long time, right? It's like an Olympic weightlifter. If you go to the Olympic Training Center, those dudes are sitting over there for like 5 minutes. They almost look lazy, but then they'll walk out and just blast 300 pounds over their head, and it's crazy. But then otherwise, if you're doing circuits and that type of stuff, you might not rest as much, but it just depends, again, all the way up at the top. Why are we working? What are we working towards? And what adaptation are we trying to hit? But it's something to consider, right? And then the frequency is how often are we going to be doing these types of workouts, right? Are we doing this stuff 2 days a week? Like with a lot of my MMA guys, I'm only seeing them twice a week because of the volume and all the other things that they're doing throughout the week. So I try to keep my time with them a little bit down and get the most out of it. But other people might be working 3 or 4 times a week, depending on where they're at with their goals. So Guys, those are just 7 things to consider when you're building workouts, things so you can really think it through or ask questions and find resources so that you guys are getting the most out of your workouts and not just getting tired. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully that stirs up some ideas for you to use with your own workouts and building better workouts for your guys. But again, if you haven't already, definitely subscribe up above. And if you have any questions on building better workouts or any of the variables that we talked about in the video, definitely hit us up. Leave a comment down below and we'll do our best to point you in the right direction.